So this image right here is an example of Mihrab, a kind of area that would indicate the direction of Mecca. So one knows the direction to pray. So Muslims typically pray 5 times a day and towards Mecca. In fact, all the mosques anywhere in the world have one of these prayer niches or areas that are set up so that you know the direction of Mecca. So from wherever you are, it doesn't matter like east, west, south, north, you would be praying in that particular direction towards Mecca from where your mosque is. And this particular mihrab would have been in Iran and Isfahan. So here's a map of the direction of Mecca in relationship to that. So now the mihrab that we're seeing is actually located in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. So why Mecca and where is Mecca? So Mecca is a city located in Saudi Arabia, and it's where the Prophet Muhammad was born around 570. And Muhammad was the last prophet in a line that includes Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Muhammad spoke the word of God. He wasn't a god or creator himself, but he was the one who could speak the word for God. Islam is almost like a continuation of Christianity and Judaism in some ways. It's kind of like the final chapter, the last chapter. All these religions are very, very much connected. So Muhammad was born into a family of merchants. Eventually he was forced out of Mecca because him and his followers were persecuted for believing in a monotheistic religion. So they were no longer believing in multiple gods. And so him and his followers went to Medina. And here's a map to show where Medina is in relationship to Mecca. And in Medina, Muhammad had a home and a courtyard in which he invited his followers to pray in. And apparently, according to sources, his home faced Mecca, or this courtyard also faced Mecca. But there is no evidence of this courtyard or his home that survived today, but there are writings that talked about it. So this particular mihrab would have been located in a school, in a place where students would go and pray, and they'd have a sort of sermon that you would typically see when somebody goes to pray. But the actual inscriptions on the mihrab are actually the sermon themselves, or the prayers themselves. So the mihrab's located in a wall called the Qibla wall. The wall that faces towards Mecca. Another thing that you'll notice about Islamic art is that the text is the main focus of the artwork. Tiles and designs make up most of the beautiful artworks. In mosques around the Islamic world, you'll notice that as well. And here's a map that shows the Islamic world and how vast it is. A mosque is not just a place for prayer, but also a place to be social. In the city of Iran where the mihrab was found, every large structure in that city is decorated with beautiful blue tiles. It's kind of like a city in blue. Blue is an expensive color, usually associated with divinity and purity. Looking at some of these mosques, you can see that they have different shades of blue, dark, light, greenish blue, blackish blue, along with brilliant white that usually stands out against the blue. We often see white text that actually stands out against the blue. Arabic writing is read from right to left, so it's different from the way that Americans would read. Most of the mosques and places of prayer are decorated with writings that mean things related to the religious belief. For example, let's go back to this mihrab for a second. Read in Kufic script, the earliest form of Arabic script. It's named for Iraq, where it was developed in the 7th century. So around the arch written in this Kufa writing lists the 5 pillars of Islam. So the 5 pillars of Islam are basically, you need to believe that God, Allah, is the one God, and that Muhammad is his prophet and his messenger, so Muhammad speaks the word of God. You need to give alms to the poor and the hungry, and you need to pray 5 times a day. And if you're able, you need to take a journey or a pilgrimage to Mecca called the Hajj. And then, of course, Ramadan, which is a month of fasting where you don't eat during the day. All of this is actually inscripted around the arch, and what's really interesting about this writing is that it's actually blue writing against the white, unlike the blue being the main background, where the text is usually white.